What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of High-End Client Acquisition Podcast. Today, my guest is Peng, Joon. And if you guys don't know him, he's built a huge following on Facebook, Instagram, and also YouTube. And he's an international best-selling author. But on top of that, I truly believe that he's one of the best platform speakers or platform closers, depending how you want to see things. He's spoken now on stages in more than 20 countries. He also got the 8-figure award with ClickFunnels, which means he generated more than $10 million in an online sales funnel. Peng Joon is going to share with us today how to use live events to scale your business, and also sharing some advanced techniques about how to use paid advertising in today's economy and how to separate yourself from the market and really make an impact and actually acquire the clients that you really want. So let's jump right into it. Welcome to High-End Client Acquisition Podcast. My name is Marian. I'm your host, and this show is here to teach you how to attract your dream clients on autopilot in 30 days or less. Each week, I bring you a guest or a strategy that can help you take your business to the next level. Don't forget, you can always get the episodes in your inbox or messenger at clientacquisitionpodcast.com. All right, first of all, I want to thank you for being on the show. And if you don't mind, tell us in a few words who Peng Joon is and how your journey looked like at the beginning. And really, like straight up, how did you become the platform speaker that you are today?
Okay, so for the longest time, I never wanted to become a speaker. I've always seen myself as this shy, introverted kid my entire life. And how we define ourselves will enable us to determine how we show up in our lives, right? So for the longest time, I never wanted to be in the spotlight, to even do a video like this. This would have been scary as hell. Okay, so just to give you a backstory and like kind of like the transition, the change happened only because I wanted to learn how to sell better online anonymously, because that's how I've been running my entire business for a really long time in the gaming market. So I attended an event that was about sales. But my purpose of attending that event on sales and speaking and selling on stage was just so that I could create scripts better for my video sales letter, which I'll have somebody else be the face. So that was the purpose of me going on that event. So at the event, I thought, this is pretty interesting. I signed up for the upsell, and somehow that event kind of motivated me to just give speaking a try for once.
Got it.
So long story short, I did my first ever event, and I was doing exactly what I learned from the event. And back then, doing a stack, you would have this flip chart and you write your thing on a flip chart and you cross it out, giving out bonuses. And I said something along the lines of this. I said, for the first 17 people that go to the back room and register. And then nothing happened. And then there was 900 people there. It was held in Singapore at the Expo Hall. And it was just one of the most awkward, embarrassing moments ever. And you gotta remember, like back then, this was like 8 years ago, things were very different. Right after I gave my offer, and I went off stage, there was no music, there's nothing like that. And imagine a room of 900 people, huge room, where you have to go to the back of the room with everybody looking at you, and you got to kind of like smile awkwardly to them. So that was like a walk of shame. You know, I would never wish that feeling upon anybody. But that was when I realized that speaking on stage and selling were two totally different skills. You could be so good on stage and get a standing ovation and have nobody buy anything. And that's kind of like what I experienced. And many people come up to me saying, Peng Joon, that was an amazing speech. I loved it. I'm totally motivated, inspired. And then my mind was like, but why didn't you buy? Because, at that event, so here's what happened. I went to the back of the stage, at back room, and one of the organizers, the staff, so she asked me, so Peng Joon, do you know how you did? And I said, no, like, how do you do? And I kind of noticed she was avoiding eye contact, and she said, yeah, well, nobody signed up. So I thought, what's worse than nobody signed up if 3 people signed up, because then I'll still have to fulfill the event of one person sitting here, another person sitting there, another person sitting there, and it would have been horrible. But that was when I made a decision that speaking was not for me, that I didn't have the skill, I didn't have the talent. And I was like, I literally gave up at that first event until I met the organizer of the event and we had a really deep conversation. So first of all, I thanked the organizer. I said, thank you very much for inviting me. But as you can see, speaking and selling on stages is probably not for me. But it was a great education. It was a great learning process. Thank you for having me. And here's what he told me. He said this. He said, after working this business for 20 years, we've worked with the best of the best people like Tony Robbins and Richard Branson and Robert Kiyosaki. And we've also worked with many average speakers, seen them come and go. And this is what he told me. He said, this is when an average person will quit. So you decide if you are average. And those words, I still remember exactly how he said it till today. And it was just like that. It was just a moment of decision that made me realize I didn't want to live an average life. And I said, I'm never going to quit. I'm never giving up until I become world class at this. And it was just like that. I continued learning. I continued practicing. And I did pretty much every single speaker, training, selling event there was back then. I did them all. And I just kept going. I took up speaking gigs, even if they weren't necessarily profitable, just to get practice. And I did whatever it took to just become better. And fast forward today, I've spoken in more than 20 countries all over the world, speaking, selling, and really becoming good at it only because I never gave up. So that's the story.
Wow, that's a really great story, my man. I wish everybody paid attention to what he just said here, or, go back and listen again, because that's really powerful. So then let's fast forward a little bit into the first event that you actually did sell your product, or like your first service or your first product that you sold from the stage. What do you think it was the actual thing that separated from everything that you've done before from the actual one that you made the sell at the end?
So there's a lot of things I didn't realize back then. Like, sort of my first event, I came from the angle of, I've been marketing for many years. I was looking at what other speakers were doing. And I was telling myself, this is insane. I can't believe people are buying because of what they're saying on stage. And I told myself, I'm going to go up on stage. I'm going to blow their minds. I'm going to show them exactly all the steps to make it happen. Give them step by step so that they can see that if they follow me, I'm going to give them, like, can you imagine if this was the free stuff, what the paid stuff would be like? And that was my mindset. But here's what I didn't realize. I didn't realize that when it comes to speaking and selling on stages, it's not about giving them the steps, because even if you want to serve them at the highest level, it's not by giving them the steps. So like what I did back then was I went on stage and I said like, okay, so to run a successful business, I'm going to give you like the 30 steps that's necessary to make that happen, right? So I gave them like, like really in detail. But here's the problem. As what many marketers and speakers don't understand is they think it's about the steps, just like what I thought. I thought it was about the steps. But what creates real change? Steps are just the 20%. What creates real change is the other 80%. It's the mindset, it's the attitude, it's the belief, it's the environment around it, right? If you really think about it, the example I like to give is, for example, weight loss, or rather being fit. Everybody wants to be fit. Everybody wants to be healthy. Everybody wants to look good naked. That's something everybody wants, right? Yeah. But the truth is, not many people have their ideal bodies or health. Why is that the case? It's not because we don't know how. In fact, steps-wise, it's just two things. It's just eat right, exercise daily, right? But why people don't have that result is not because of the steps. It's because of the other 80%. Perhaps it's not important enough. Perhaps they don't have the belief, the mindset, the attitude, the environment to make them do those steps. So in order to create change at the highest level for our audience, whether it's through a webinar, whether it's through a sales video, whether it's through a live event, it's all about changing their beliefs, mindsets, and attitude towards those things. Answering a much bigger question of why is it that they can do it as well? So what made the biggest change was when I came from the angle of, number one, sharing my story. So one thing I didn't do in my first few events was I thought I wanted to go straight to the content so I don't waste them the time. So I didn't talk about my story, my backstory, the struggles I've had, because I thought all of that was a waste of time. What I didn't realize is that was huge in understanding and giving them the belief of why they can do it as well. I realized that the purpose of sharing my story and the struggles and why that's essential is because essentially you are showing them why is it that they can do that as well. And that's something many speakers don't do. They are reluctant to share their struggles because they think that it makes them weak, when in fact, it actually empowers the audience on why they can do it as well. So that's number one. Number two is, to me, speaking and teaching was one thing, and then selling was another thing. And that's what many marketers do as well. They teach. At the end, they've got something to sell. And then there's a weird transition from teaching and selling something, when in fact, the entire presentation is a close. Where in fact, right from the time you are speaking and introducing yourself and teaching, world-class speakers, what they're doing in their speaking, teaching sessions is they're actually answering objections. Objections about the opportunity, objections about their own internal conversations on why they can't do it. Things like, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't have the technical skills, I don't have the capital, right? As well as the excuses that they might have around it. And that's basically the biggest differentiator.
That's awesome, man. It's a really great analogy. And my biggest takeaway from this is the entire presentation is a close. Like that's huge in my opinion. And I hope our listeners really take notes on this. So what do you think is like when someone is ready to put their first live event, like is it a trigger? Like, how do you know? Should you consider it from the get-go, like at the beginning stage of your business, or only after you reach a certain amount in sales? Like, what's your thought on this?
I believe that live events is key to scaling from 7 figures to 8 figures. I believe that's key. I may not necessarily believe that's key for somebody that's starting out. Somebody that's starting out, it's all about creating results for yourself and your clients first. And then with that, you can use live events to really scale and take you to the next level. So what I would recommend for somebody that's just starting out, in fact, it's not about creating the content either. Step number 1 is always about building your funnels. Always. And the best way, so it's not about, I think because there's so many distractions out there, people are thinking like, they look at what we're doing right now and they could be thinking to themselves like, is podcasting the way to go, right? Is email marketing, should I be spending my time on Facebook, putting it on my blog, putting it on Instagram? And there's all these different ways to start putting out content. Yeah. Without realizing that all those things is actually pointless if you don't even have a funnel. And the best way to ask yourself if you have a funnel is to ask yourself, when you woke up this morning, whether you had money go into your bank account while you were asleep. And as cheesy as it sounds, if that answer is a no, that means your priority is not Facebook, it's not Instagram, it's not podcasting, it's not blogging, but to build the funnel first. Make sure you're able to get leads, make sure you're able to convert those leads into sales. And then you can start really thinking about your next big traffic strategy.
Boom, mic drop. If you didn't make money last night while you're sleeping, you need to stop everything and focus on your funnel. So I'll probably use this as a quote if you don't mind. So since we're talking about the entire game of funnels and online marketing and all these things, a lot of people are talking about, Facebook ads going up and becoming too crowded as a platform. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Should people focus on different platforms? Should they just advertise on Instagram or YouTube or LinkedIn or YouTube ads? Or what's the strategy that you actually recommend?
So I believe that, it's not a belief, but mobile is the new TV, right? We got to understand that all these different channels that we used to watch on TV, they're all replaced with social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, right? So Instagram is like the new reality TV, right? You've got new channels like Twitch, which is, a place for professional gamers to game and people watch them live. So that's like Sports Center, right? So YouTube is just, the soap opera, it's just the sitcoms. Facebook's just talk show. we got to understand that the game has changed. So when it comes to Facebook ads, here, let's first of all understand what an average Facebook marketer does. Okay, so we got to understand that if we do what everybody else is doing, the average person is doing, we'll get average results. So let's take a look at what most people, business owners and Facebook marketers are doing. Here's what they do. They run ads to a cold audience based on their interest, based on where they live, based on their demographics, right? That's what most Facebook marketers do. And we do that, sure, we can get good results if we are good at that. But the problem is that cost is constantly rising every single day as more businesses are coming on board, and Facebook is at max advertising space, right? So they're maxed out on their space, but there's more advertisers coming in. So what does that mean? It means rising ad costs. However, if we want to, I believe that moving forward, and this is something I've been doing for the last 2 years, it's about adding an additional layer. And that layer is about creating content so that we can add value first to kick off and start that relationship. So that means putting out value, videos, just like this one perhaps, and then boosting that to an audience that's cold, that doesn't know who we are, but boosting it strategically so that it's based on their interest. Okay, so we are going to boost that so that when people see it, it's not an ad. You're not asking for their email. There's no opt-in. There's no link. There's nothing. It's just starting off that relationship with value. Yeah. And then what's going to happen is with Facebook, you can create a custom audience to retarget people who have watched, say, at least 25% or 50% of your videos. Now, those audience that's super targeted, you can then run ads to get them to go to your opt-in pages, to your webinars, to your free gift, or to your tripwires, your lead magnet, right? So that is going to be a much lower cost. And because you started the relationship right, not by bribing them, right? They always say, ethical bribe. That's the past. That's like 7 years ago. Yeah. Today, it's all about having that additional layer to acquire leads at a much lower cost and to start the relationship right. So I actually released this new book 3 days ago. It's called Content Multiplier Formula. .com, and just go check it out. But basically, it explains this entire 9-step process, which is really publishing your content, automating it, and then having a system for monetization, which I believe this is, when you take a look at all of the marketers that's crushing it right now, in one way or another, look what they're doing. They're creating content, they're putting it out there, and they have a clear, solid strategy on monetizing that following. So it's not about the likes, it's not about engagement, but rather doing it to build value so that you can serve the people that wants to learn more from you.
I got it. Like this is super great. So let's repeat for everybody to understand. They should never try to send traffic from a cold audience to any sort of links, and people should focus on creating another layer basically. And step one would be for them to create a problem-solving piece of content and run that as a video ad to just build an audience that you can retarget. And then that second audience basically watched a video, and now you can put an offer or a service or you can send them to a link that they can put that information. Is that correct?
Right, and you can think about it, there's kind of like 3 main angles for when it comes to getting people to take action. So what you said just now, solving problems, that's one. Okay, so just think about it. Okay, hard to imagine, but imagine these 2 hands. These 2 are islands. Okay, so let's say on this left hand, this left island here, this is where they're at, and this is Hell Island. This is where they're facing the pain. This is where they're having issues. They're having problems. They want to come here. This is Heaven Island. Heaven Island. This is where they'll make the money. They become fitter. They become healthier. Become more productive. They become more confident, or whatever it is they want to achieve. Right. Yeah. So as marketers, think about what most marketers do is every single time. Most marketers are selling Dream Island, or rather Heaven Island. Most marketers are saying, don't you want to make $1 million, right? If you come here, you'll be able to quit your 9-to-5 job and you make passive income. And then when people don't take action, you know what they say? They'll say, what's wrong with you? Don't you want to make $1 million? Come and join me, right? From Hell Island can join me here. But they don't realize that there's only two things that makes a person take action, which is either the carrot or the stick. Carrot is the reward, right? The reward and benefit of being on heaven. But we all know this, most people anyway, only take action when it's too painful to remain in the same place. But the problem is, most people stay in the same place because it's not painful enough to get out of the comfort zone. And that's why they choose to stay in the Hell Island. So as marketers, it's not just about selling Heaven Island, but really pointing the pain of staying in Hell Island. And the best way to do it is not about being generic, right? Being generic is like what most marketers do again, saying like, don't you hate your 9-to-5 job? That's generic. What makes messaging very powerful, whether it's through video, whether it's through writing your sales copy, or whether it's through writing email, is if you can pinpoint a symptom. Okay, what does pinpointing a symptom mean? It means this. Let's take, for example, Facebook ads, which you just said. Okay, so Facebook ads is selling vision of heaven would be, want to make more money with Facebook, right? Get a 2-to-1 returns. That's selling heaven. If you can pinpoint the pain, which is symptom means the best way to tell us a symptom if you can point to it. So if you had an ad or a video that says, does your Facebook ad suck right now? Well, it doesn't really pinpoint to a problem, to a symptom, and that's why it's not a symptom. However, if you had a message, an email, or copy that says, is your Facebook relevancy score under 6? Now the people who gets it will really get it. They'll be like, yes, that's me. I need to watch this video. I need to read this email. This sales copy understands me. Okay? That is how you create compelling messages. And I know you asked me about like what type of videos, and I'm just stepping out a little bit to talk about how solution to problems are one thing. But if you can really pinpoint the pain by going into the symptoms, that's how you become a better marketer. That's how you write better ad copy. That's how you create better headlines. That's how you write better emails. That's how you write more compelling sales letters, when you can pinpoint the symptom of what they're going through and the pain attached to it.
That's so powerful, man. You're literally dropping value bombs after value bombs. So you're not just adding another layer for this strategy to the content creation part of the ad, of course. You're also creating another layer within the creation of the content. So it's really going in the prospect head. Like, I love it, man. And you also mentioned something about the content creation formula. Is that the presentation that you rocked the stage at Funnel Hacking Live in 2018?
It's based on the same concept, yes, but what I realized people really wanted is they wanted like all the resources that come with it, which is like they wanted the Trello boards, they wanted the spreadsheets, they wanted the resources that I had with my team, the communication, how do I find the right person, what is the job scope that I use to post up to find the right fit. So I got my entire team to compile all the resources, and we put it in there as well, so that it's like an all-encompassing thing that helps people make that happen. That's
awesome, man. Can you repeat again how people can get that booklet?
Yeah, you just need to go to contentmultiplierformula.com.
Before we wrap things up here, I picked up a question from the audience. What do you think is the importance of having mentors in your journey?
I think mentors and coaches are just so crucial in our growth. I think what most people do is they try to do things on their own. And if you really think about it, that's the reason why people fail. It's because they try to figure things out on their own. Like, I have coaches and mentors in pretty much every single aspect of life that I want to be good at. So when it comes to fitness, I know that like ever since I started training with a coach, I've gotten faster results than I've had trying to do it all alone in all my years combined. Same thing with trying to learn how to play golf. Same thing with public speaking. Same thing as investing in property. Same thing in marketing. Same thing in Facebook ads. Like, I know you probably can't see it, but like there's a whole ton of files up there, and they're all files on just going to workshops, boot camps, seminars, because I believe that's just so crucial when it comes to learning. Like for me, I'm a horrible reader, so it takes me like in 100 books that I read, I probably finish like 2 because I read really slow, and then I've got this whole ADD thing. So I can't really focus, but I learn best in an environment where if it's live, it's a person's there, that's when I thrive best. So I'm not saying, spend all your money, go to seminars. I'm talking about learn from people that has it figured out before, rather than trying to do it yourself. Because we are in an environment today where a lot of people say, I want to be able to do it, but I don't know how. The question today is no longer, how to do it, but rather, who do I find that has done it to learn it from? And that is going to save you so much more time, money, your sanity in getting much faster results. If I want to learn how to put out a podcast, I'm not going to try and figure things out on my own. I'm just going to go out there and buy a product who has somebody figured it out and just do what this person tells me to do. So same thing with YouTube ads, with LinkedIn, or whatever it is you want to achieve. Don't try and figure things out on your own. Just learn from somebody who has done it before, and just do it by learning from them.
That makes perfect sense, man. All right, you literally dropped some true golden nuggets in this interview, and we're about to wrap things up. Do you have a special message maybe for people listening?
I think too many people are spending too much time learning. Like I really do. Like I think that with all of the information out there, too many people is just constantly analyzing and planning and strategizing, which is great. But sometimes it's just about doing it, making the mistakes and adjusting along the way. And I know that there are many people that's just out there afraid to make mistakes, because that's what the education system has shaped us to become, to avoid making mistakes. But as an entrepreneur, mistakes are a given. So rather than, just constantly learning, which is great, spend more time doing and executing.
All right, guys. So Peng Joon literally rocked this interview, and I bet you agree 100%. A few key takeaways from this episode. Number 1 is, if you don't have a funnel that makes you money while you sleep, you need to stop focusing on content creation or anything else that you do, and make sure your funnel is up and running and it's actually working and making you money. Number 2 is, when you close from stage at any workshop, seminar, or conference, whatever it is, the entire presentation is a close of itself. You're not speaking, you're closing from the beginning. Number 3 is, live events should be added after your business is already successful, and you'd use them to scale to 7 or 8 figures and beyond. And number 4 is, stop running your ads to a cold audience and focus on creating a value-building piece of content that speaks to your customers, and then people will watch that video without asking them to opt in, without sending them to any link. And after that, in the same process, you'll create a different ad that you'll send people to your offer, to your product, to your services, to your landing page, to your funnel, whatever it is, but only people that watch a certain amount of that video. And don't forget, guys, if you're not subscribed to the show, so you not miss any of the future episodes that we drop, hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and we'll actually start featuring listeners in the show. And also, if you want these episodes in your inbox or messenger, you can go to clientacquisitionpodcast.com and you'll get all the details there, including the giveaways and a lot of other stuff. All right? Thanks a lot for listening, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Hey, podcast listeners, I want you to know that I really appreciate your attention and I don't take it lightly. That's why each month we pick a lucky winner and we give away books, mentorship, software, courses, iPads, and other cool stuff. The way to enter is go to clientacquisitionpodcast.com and sign up. You'll get all the details there. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.